Hello fans! Welcome back to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will dive deep into the swirling drama and shocking revelations unfolding in Port Charles on Thursday. Hello fans! From Tracy Quartermain's simmering frustration to suspicious deaths and fiery conspiracies, the residents of this bustling town are grappling with secrets that could unravel everything. Buckle up as we explore the intricate web of emotions, betrayals, and dangerous alliances in this extended, in-depth look at the latest happenings. Tracy Quartermain's uncharacteristic displeasure. At the heart of the Quartermain mansion, a storm is brewing, and it's not just the usual family squabbles over breakfast. Tracy Quartermain, known for her sharp tongue and unshakable confidence, finds herself in a rare state of discontent. Normally, Tracy revels in the satisfaction of being proven right, her instincts honed by years of navigating the cutthroat worlds of business and family politics. But today, as she paces the ornate halls of the mansion, her expression is one of pure vexation. In a heated exchange with her granddaughter, Brooklyn Quartermain Chase, Tracy lets her frustration spill over. "I am so not happy about being right this time," she exclaims, her voice laced with a bitterness that surprises even Brooklyn. The source of Tracy's ire appears to be tied to the precarious financial state of Deception Cosmetics, a company she holds a significant stake in. Brooklyn had recently relayed a troubling warning from Natalia Ramirez, a business associate with a knack for uncovering uncomfortable truths. Natalia hinted that Sonny Corinthos, a long-standing figure in Port Charles with a shadowy reputation, might be tied to some less than savory investments affecting Deception's bottom line. Though Tracy has never been one to shy away from controversial figures, shaving herself been entangled with questionable characters in her storied past, their distrust of Sonny runs deep. Could this financial entanglement be the tipping point for Tracy, pushing her to take drastic measures to protect her legacy? And what did Natalia know that made her warning so urgent, especially in light of her tragic fate? As Tracy confides in Brooklyn, it's clear that this is merely the beginning of a larger battle, one that could shake the foundations of both the Quartermain family and Deception itself. Security searches and a mysterious death at MetroCourt. Meanwhile, at General Hospital, the atmosphere is thick with tension as Police Commissioner Anna Devane delves into a troubling investigation. Fresh from the somber scene at Natalia Ramirez's MetroCourt suite, where the businesswoman was discovered lifeless from an apparent overdose, Anna is laser-focused on piecing together the puzzle of her untimely death. Meeting with Detective Harrison Chase in a quiet corner near the hospital's bustling corridors, Anna pores over a security file, likely obtained from MetroCourt's surveillance team. Quoting a cryptic remark from the report, she mutters, to quote security, prompting Chase to interject with a hopeful, "anything useful." And fortunately, the trail seems cold. Rumors swirl that the security cameras in the vicinity were conveniently disabled at the time of Natalia's demise. The investigation is further complicated by the lack of concrete evidence. Toxicology results and an autopsy report are still pending, leaving Anna and Chase grasping at straws. Adding another layer of intrigue is the knowledge that Sonny Corinthos had reportedly been aiding Natalia, arranging a discreet escape to Belize under a witness protection-style arrangement. Was this plan connected to her death? Did someone ensure that Natalia would never reach her safe haven? As Anna meticulously reviews every detail, from grainy security logs to witness statements, it's evident that this case is far from a simple overdose. The specter of foul play looms large, and with Sonny's name tied to the situation, the stakes couldn't be higher. Jocelyn Jack's anguish and a dangerous accusation. Elsewhere in Port Charles, emotions run high as Jocelyn Jacks finds herself overwhelmed by the chaos surrounding her family. In a dimly lit warehouse rumored to be a covert WSB outpost, Jocelyn unloads her fears and frustrations to her handler, Vaughn, a stoic figure who has guided her through turbulent times. Her voice trembles with anger and despair as she declares, "Sonny Corinthos brings death wherever he goes." Her words are fueled by the recent fire at Charlie's Pub, where her close friend Christina Corinthos Davis was trapped in a blaze that could have claimed her life. Though Jocelyn hasn't yet received a full update on Christina's condition, the fear of losing her and the haunting memories of past traumas involving her brother Michael gnaw at her relentlessly. Jocelyn's distress is compounded by a recent unsettling encounter at her mother's house. While in the kitchen, she was forced to flee when Jack Brennan, a mysterious and imposing figure, arrived to lay down some strict boundaries. The incident left Jocelyn shaken, amplifying her already fragile state. Could her accusations against Sunny hold a kernel of truth, or are they a product of her mounting anxiety and unresolved PTSD? As she confides in Vaughn, it's clear that Jocelyn is caught in a dangerous web, one where family ties and deadly secrets collide with devastating consequences. Her handler listens intently, but the question remains, will Vaughn help Jocelyn uncover the truth, or will he steer her down a path of even greater peril? Marco Rios' suspicions and a hidden truth. Back at General Hospital, another layer of mystery unfolds near the nurses' station, where Marco Rios sits with Lucas Jones in a sterile waiting area. The two men are grappling with the shocking death of Marco's mother, Natalia, whose body was found under distressing circumstances in an exam room. Though Marco initially believed his mother had simply passed out from excessive drinking, the reality is far more complex. As he processes the grief and confusion, Marco turns to Lucas, his voice steady but laden with doubt. "I'm almost positive that's not the full story," he confesses, echoing the suspicions that many in Port Charles are beginning to harbor. Lucas, privy to emerging details about the case, likely knows of the pills found near Natalia's body, a detail that casts a shadow of doubt over the initial assumption of a drunken mishap. Could it be suicide, as the scene superficially suggests? Or does the evidence point to something more sinister, perhaps a staged overdose meant to silence Natalia for good? Marco's instincts tell him that the combination of pills and alcohol wasn't consumed in a single, impulsive act, a theory that the post-mortem report may soon confirm. As the two men await answers, Marco's thoughts drift to his fractured family dynamics, particularly the influence of his father, Jens Sidwell, a man with a dangerous reputation. Did Sidwell play a role in his mother's demise, exacting a cruel revenge for her alliances? Marco's quiet determination hints at a quest for justice that could unearth secrets buried deep within Port Charles' underbelly. Sonny Corinthos and Jason Morgan's deadly calculations. Finally, on the boathouse deck of the Quartermain mansion, a chilling conversation unfolds between Sonny Corinthos and his trusted ally, Jason Morgan. The topic at hand is the devastating fire at Charlie's pub, a catastrophe that nearly cost Sonny his daughter Christina and echoes the pain of past losses, including his son Michael. Both men are visibly on edge, their faces etched with suspicion as they dissect the events leading up to the blaze. At the center of their discussion is Marco Rios, a young man who, despite saving Christina's life during the inferno, remains an enigma to Sonny and Jason. Sonny's mistrust of Marco stems from the influence of Jens Sidwell, Marco's father, whom Natalia had accused of turning her son against her. Convinced that Sidwell orchestrated the firebombing of Charlie's pub as a brutal act of retribution, Sonny and Jason see Marco as a potential pawn in a larger, deadly game. Their conversation takes a dark turn as Sonny, his voice cold and resolute, tells Jason, if Marco ends up as collateral damage, so be it. This ruthless declaration underscores the perilous stakes of their world, where loyalty is a currency and vengeance a way of life. As the boathouse creaks under the weight of their grim resolve, one can't help but wonder, will Marco become a casualty in this war of attrition? Or will he uncover the truth about his mother's death before it's too late? Next, we will uncover the explosive drama threatening to tear apart lives in Port Charles as Brooklyn Quartermain Chase embarks on a dangerous path of vengeance. A shocking revelation at the nurses' ball has set off a chain reaction of secrets, betrayals, and potential heartbreak that could cost Brooklyn everything she holds dear. Join us as we delve into the intricate layers of her revenge plot, the devastating consequences looming on the horizon, and the fragile relationships hanging in the balance in this extended exploration of deception and redemption. A revelation that shattered trust. The glitz and glamour of the nurses' ball were overshadowed by a bombshell that no one saw coming. When Lulu Spencer publicly unveiled the jaw-dropping truth about Joe Palmieri's paternity, revealing him as the son Brooklyn gave up for adoption during her tumultuous teenage years, room fell silent with shock. For Brooklyn, who had buried this secret deep within her past, the exposure was a brutal betrayal, slicing through the carefully curated image she had built over the years. Now, as she wrestles with the fallout in the opulent halls of the Quartermain mansion, her pain has morphed into a burning desire for retribution. The normally composed Brooklyn, who has fought hard to leave her scheming days behind, is teetering on the edge of a decision that could unravel her entire life. With her emotions raw and her pride wounded, she is crafting a plan so ruthless that even her closest allies might not recognize the woman she's becoming. The weapon of a buried secret. In her quest for revenge, Brooklyn has unearthed a piece of Port Charles history so scandalous it could shatter families. Her target is Lulu, and her weapon is a long-buried truth about Rocco, Lulu and Dante Falcone's beloved son. Brooklyn has acquired a copy of Rocco's original birth certificate, a document that lists the late Britt Westburn as his mother, a chilling reminder of Britt's twisted act years ago when she stole Lulu and Dante's embryo in a desperate bid to claim Patrick Drake as the father. Armed with this damning evidence, Brooklyn believes she holds the key to destroying Lulu's world, turning the tables on the woman who exposed her deepest secret. She envisions a moment of triumph, imagining Lulu's humiliation as the past is dragged back into the spotlight. But as she meticulously plots her next move in the quiet of her study, surrounded by the trappings of Quartermaine wealth, there's an undercurrent of doubt: is this revenge worth the collateral damage it will inevitably cause? An innocent caught in the crossfire. What makes Brooklyn's scheme particularly heart-wrenching is the innocence at its center. Rocco, a child untouched by the sins of the adults around him, stands to be the true victim if this secret is revealed. Though he may not fully grasp the sordid details of his origin, Britt carried him after her deceitful act. Emotional toll of learning such a truth could be catastrophic. Brooklyn's plan isn't just an attack on Lulu, it's a reckless strike that could scar a young boy for life, forcing him to question his identity and the love of his parents. As she contemplates her next steps, perhaps gazing out over the manicured Quartermaine gardens, does she consider the weight of her actions on Rocco's future? Will she pause to remember the pain of her own past, think of giving up Joe, and recognize that she's poised to inflict a similar wound on another child? The moral quagmire she finds herself in is a stark reminder of the destructive power of vengeance, a secret already slipping through her fingers. In true Port Charles fashion, no secret remains hidden for long, and Brooklyn's meticulously laid plan is already teetering on the brink of exposure. Unbeknownst to her, the incriminating file containing Rocco's birth certificate has fallen into the wrong hands. Danny Morgan and Rocco himself stumbled upon the document while spending their first day working at the Metro Court pool, a seemingly innocent summer job turning into the catalyst for chaos. Hidden among papers in a forgotten drawer at the Quartermaine mansion, the file caught Danny's eye, and with a mix of curiosity and naivety, he handed it over to Rocco. The moment the paper exchanged hands, a silent timer began ticking, counting down to an inevitable explosion. As the sun glinted off the Metro Court pool, casting playful shadows on the boys' faces, neither could have predicted the storm they were about to unleash. Now, the question looms large: how long until Rocco deciphers the cryptic information before him, and what will he do when the truth dawns? The fragile bond's at risk of breaking. Brooklyn's thirst for revenge isn't just a personal battle, it threatens to demolish the very foundations of her life. Her marriage to Harrison Chase, a beacon of stability and love, hangs precariously in the balance. Chase has been her rock, standing by her through every storm, even guarding the secret of Gio's adoption from his best friend, Dante. But how will he react when he uncovers his wife's covert plot to harm Dante's son? The betrayal could fracture their bond beyond repair, leaving Chase to question whether the woman he married is the same one he fell in love with. Beyond her marriage, the ripple effects of her actions could devastate her relationships across the board. Dante, already protective of Rocco, might be consumed by rage at the thought of his child being used as a pawn in a vendetta against his ex-wife. Any lingering hope of co-parenting Joe amicably with Lulu and Dante would evaporate like mist, replaced by animosity and distrust. And Joe himself, already distancing himself from Brooklyn after choosing to bond with Lulu at the Metro Court pool, might see this as the final straw, turning his back on his biological mother for good in a heartbreaking snub witnessed by all. A futile quest for retribution. What adds a layer of perplexing irony to Brooklyn's scheme is the sheer futility of her chosen weapon. The story of Rocco's conception and Britt's embryo theft isn't a fresh scandal waiting to rock Port Charles. It's old news, a chapter from 2013 that was exposed, confronted, and ultimately closed. Most of the town's residents are already aware of the drama. Lulu and Dante fought to reclaim their son, Britt faced her reckoning, and life moved forward. So, what does Brooklyn hope to gain by dredging up this ancient history? Does she believe Rocco will reject his parents for withholding the grittier details of his origins? If so, she's gravely mistaken. More likely, Rocco's anger will turn toward Brooklyn herself, branding her as the instigator of unnecessary pain and drama. The fallout could see Rocco grappling with confusion and hurt, potentially needing therapy to navigate the emotional wreckage because Brooklyn couldn't swallow her pride or cope with Gio's preference for Lulu. As she sits alone with her thoughts, perhaps in the quiet of a late-night reflection by the fireplace, the weight of her miscalculation must begin to dawn. A regression to a darker past. This revenge plot marks a tragic step backward for Brooklyn, a character who has clawed her way toward redemption over the years. Once known for her manipulative antics and deceitful schemes, the old Brooklyn seemed to have vanished, replaced by a woman softened by love for Chase and a desire to build a stable, honest life. Her journey of personal growth marked by apologies, amends, and genuine change won over the trust of her family and friends. Yet, heartbreak and humiliation have a cruel way of resurrecting buried flaws, and now the specter of the old BLQ looms large once more. If she proceeds with exposing Rocco's story, she risks proving to everyone at Chase, Dante, her family that her transformation was merely a facade, a temporary mask hiding the conniving nature beneath. The disappointment in the eyes of those who believed in her could be the hardest blow of all. Is a fleeting moment of vindictive satisfaction worth torching the life she's painstakingly constructed? As the stakes grow higher, Brooklyn stands at a crossroads, her future hanging on whether she can resist the pull of her darker instincts. The clock ticks toward catastrophe. With Danny and Rocco already in possession of the volatile file, the countdown to disaster is well underway. Each passing hour brings the secret closer to detonation, and the potential scenarios are as varied as they are dramatic. Will Rocco, with a furrowed brow and a racing heart, confront Lulu and Dante, demanding answers about the strange document that lists a woman named Britt as his mother? Will Danny, sensing the gravity of what he's stumbled upon, attempt to mitigate the damage by alerting someone he trusts, perhaps his own mother, Sam McCall? Or could Brooklyn, struck by a sudden pang of guilt as she watches Chase laugh over dinner, scramble to intercept the file before it's too late? Whatever the path, the fallout promises to be seismic. Chase's trust in Brooklyn could crumble, leaving their marriage on the brink of collapse. Dante might sever all ties, ensuring Brooklyn has no role in Gio's life moving forward. And Lulu, ironically, could emerge as the sympathetic figure, garnering support while Brooklyn faces near-universal scorn for her actions. The tension is palpable, as if the very air in Port Charles hums with the anticipation of an impending reckoning. A chance for salvation or total ruin. As Brooklyn hurtles toward what could be her own destruction, the question remains, will anyone or anything pull her back from the abyss? Her mother, Lois Trullo, with her no-nonsense wisdom and fierce maternal love, might catch wind of the brewing storm and stage an intervention, pleading with Brooklyn to consider the irreversible damage she's about to inflict. Chase, ever the moral compass, could stumble upon a clue to her sheen, perhaps a stray note or an overheard conversation, and force a raw, emotional confrontation in their shared home, begging her to choose love over hate. Or, in a quiet moment of clarity, maybe Brooklyn herself will gaze into the mirror, seeing not just her reflection but the ghost of her past self, and realize that revenge is a hollow victory compared to the warmth of her marriage, the trust of her family, and the redemption she's fought so hard to achieve. The possibilities are endless, but the window for redemption is narrowing with each tick of the clock. Can Brooklyn step back from the edge, or will she plunge headlong into a sea of regret? Next, we will explore the heart-wrenching rumors swirling around Sasha Gilmore Corbin and the precarious future of her newborn daughter, Daisy Corinthos Corbin. In the ever-dramatic landscape of Port Charles, whispers of Sasha's potential disappearance were due to sinister forces, a mental health breakdown, or a tragic relapse have set the town abuzz with speculation. As her godparents, Jason Morgan and Felicia Scorpio, stand ready to step in, the stakes couldn't be higher for Daisy's safety and the emotional well-being of everyone connected to this unfolding saga. Join us as we dive deep into the myriad possibilities, hidden dangers, and heartfelt dilemmas surrounding Sasha's fate in this expanded exploration of love, loss, and protection. Sasha's fragile state, a mother on the brink. In the sprawling halls of the Quartermain mansion, a storm of worry brews within Sasha Gilmore Corbin, a young mother grappling with an overwhelming sense of dread. Since the birth of her daughter, Daisy, Sasha has been haunted by a creeping postpartum paranoia, a dark cloud that refuses to lift. Her past trauma, devastating loss of her son, Liam Mike Corbin, lingers like a shadow, amplifying every fear and doubt. Late at night, as she paces the ornate corridors with Daisy cradled in her arms, Sasha's eyes dart to every corner, convinced that unseen threats lurk just out of sight. Is she imagining these dangers, or does a real peril encircle her tiny family? Her frantic whispers to herself, questioning her own sanity, paint a picture of a woman teetering on the edge, desperate to protect her child but unsure if she can even trust her own mind. The community of Port Charles watches with bated breath, sensing that Sasha's fragile state could be the prelude to a heartbreaking disappearance. Whispers of disappearance, theories abound. The rumor mill in Port Charles is working overtime, churning out chilling theories about what might befall Sasha in the days ahead. One possibility sends shivers down the spine: a kidnapping orchestrated by the notorious Jen Sidwell, a man with a vendetta against Michael Corinthos after his recent custody victory over Amelia and Wiley Corinthos. Sidwell's ruthless reputation suggests he'd stop at nothing to destabilize Michael's world, and Sasha could be the perfect target. Another whisper points to Drew Quartermain, whose bitterness over Michael's role in Willow Corinthos losing custody festers like an open wound. Could Drew's quiet rage manifest in a sinister plot to remove Sasha from the picture? Other theories tug at the heartstrings. Perhaps Sasha, overwhelmed by her spiraling fears, checks herself into a mental health facility, seeking solace away from Daisy to heal her shattered psyche. Or, in a tragic echo of her past struggles, might she relapse into drug use as a desperate escape from the paranoia gnawing at her soul? The darkest rumor of all, a deadly act by Sidwell or Drew, hangs over these speculations like a storm cloud, threatening to rob Daisy of her mother forever. Each potential path carries profound consequences, leaving everyone to wonder which fate will claim Sasha first. The guardians ready to step in, Jason and Felicia's role. Amid the uncertainty of Sasha's future, two steadfast figures stand poised to protect little Daisy, her godparents, Jason Morgan and Felicia Scorpio. Jason, with his unyielding loyalty to Michael and a wary eye on Drew's deceptive past, is prepared to take charge if Sasha vanishes. Memories of Drew's lies about Michael's supposed rejection in Germany fuel Jason's suspicion, and he's determined to shield Daisy from any schemes that might target her family. His stoic presence, often seen lingering near the Quartermain estate's gates with a protective gaze, reassures some but raises questions about the dangers his mob ties could bring into Daisy's innocent world. Felicia, on the other hand, brings a nurturing warmth to the table, her history of safeguarding her daughter Maxie Jones and her grandchildren equipping her with a fierce maternal instinct. Whether she's baking cookies in her cozy kitchen or poring over old case files to uncover threats, Felicia's dedication is undeniable. Yet, her involvement isn't without complications. Her husband Mac's quiet disapproval of Jason as Daisy's godfather hints at potential friction. Will Jason and Felicia unite seamlessly to guard Daisy, or will their personal dramas create obstacles in their mission to keep her safe? The shadow of external forces, danger lurks. As the rumors of Sasha's disappearance gain traction, the specter of external forces looms large over Port Charles. Jen Sidwell's name echoes through whispered conversations at the local diner, his criminal empire a constant threat to anyone connected to Michael. If Sidwell is behind a potential kidnapping, his motives likely stem from a desire to inflict maximum pain on Michael, using Sasha as a pawn in a cruel game of revenge. Drew Quartermain, meanwhile, harbors his own grudges, his resentment simmering beneath a polished exterior as he navigates boardroom battles at ELQ. Some speculate that Drew might see Sasha's removal as a way to wound Michael indirectly, striking at the heart of his family's stability. The possibility of these two formidable adversaries targeting Sasha adds a layer of urgency to the situation, transforming every creak in the night at the Quartermain mansion into a potential warning. As Jason sharpens his instincts, ready to deploy his underworld skills for a rescue mission, and Felicia taps into her sleuthing expertise to sniff out clues, the question remains: can they preemptively thwart these dangers before Sasha is lost to them all? The emotional toll on Michael and Daisy's future. Sasha's uncertain fate casts a long shadow over Michael Corinthos, whose life could be irrevocably altered by the outcome. As Daisy's father and a man who has already endured countless losses, Michael's heart aches at the thought of history repeating itself. Should Sidwell orchestrate a kidnapping, Michael might find himself torn between rage and despair, relying on Jason's expertise to track down Sasha while grappling with his own guilt for not protecting her sooner. If Sasha succumbs to a drug relapse, the echoes of her past struggles could reopen old wounds for Michael, forcing him to witness another loved one spiral out of control. Felicia, with her compassionate touch, might step in to guide Sasha toward recovery, but the road would be long and fraught with emotional peril. Worst of all, if Drew's vengeance or Sidwell's cruelty leads to a tragic end for Sasha, Michael would be left to raise Daisy alone, forever haunted by the what-ifs. The future of Daisy herself hangs in the balance. Will she grow up surrounded by the love of her godparents, or will the scars of her mother's absence shape her tender years? At the Quartermain boathouse, where Michael often retreats to think, the weight of these possibilities presses down like a physical force, urging him to act before it's too late. Clashing instincts, Carly's protective shadow. Adding another layer of complexity to this tangled web is Carly Spencer, whose fierce protective instincts over her family could clash with Jason and Felicia's roles as Daisy's godparents. Carly, with her own deep ties to Michael and a history of battling tooth and nail for those she loves, might view Sasha's potential disappearance as a personal call to action. Her presence at the hospital, checking in on Sasha with a mix of concern and suspicion, hints at her readiness to intervene. But how will she react if Jason's mob connections come into play, potentially endangering Daisy in a conflict with Sidwell? And will Felicia's softer approach to caregiving align with Carly's more aggressive stance, or will their differing styles create tension at a time when unity is crucial? As Carly watches Daisy sleep in her crib, her mind races with strategies to safeguard the child. Unaware that her involvement might complicate the delicate balance Jason and Felicia are striving to maintain. In Port Charles, where loyalties are tested daily, this dynamic promises to add fuel to an already smoldering fire. A race against time. Will protection come soon enough? The urgency surrounding Sasha's situation cannot be overstated. Every moment brings the possibility of her vanishing closer to reality. If Sidwell or Drew strikes first, Jason's readiness to dive into the underbelly of Port Charles for a daring rescue could be Daisy's only lifeline. His leather jacket a familiar sight as he scours dark alleys for leads. Should Sasha choose treatment, disappearing into a facility to confront her demons, Felicia's gentle persistence might be the key to reuniting mother and daughter. Her letters and visits a lifeline through the fog of recovery. Yet, if a relapse or something more dire claims Sasha, both godparents will face the monumental task of stepping into parental roles sooner than anticipated, their lives reshaped by the responsibility of raising Daisy. The quaint streets of Port Charles, from the bustling Metro Court to the quiet corners of Kelly's Diner, hum with whispered questions. Will Jason and Felicia act in time? Or will Sasha's uncertain fate leave them scrambling to pick up the pieces? As the sun sets over the harbor, casting golden reflections on the water, the race to protect Daisy intensifies, each tick of the clock a reminder of what's at stake. Conclusion: a family's fate hangs in the balance. Port Charles is no stranger to drama, but the brewing crisis surrounding Sasha Gilmore Corbin and her daughter Daisy strikes at the heart of family, loyalty, and survival. Whether Sasha faces kidnapping, seeks treatment, succumbs to past demons, or meets a darker end at the hands of enemies like Sidwell or Drew, the consequences will reverberate through the lives of Michael, Jason, Felicia, and beyond. As Daisy's godparents brace for the unknown, and figures like Carly loom with their own agendas, the future of this tiny child hangs in a delicate balance. Stay tuned to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel as we continue to follow every twist and turn of this emotional journey. What do you think lies ahead for Sasha? Will she be saved, or will tragedy strike? Share your predictions in the comments below, and join us next time for more gripping updates from the heart of Port Charles.